For how long?
Yes.
What I'm going to do now is outside and see if that helps. See some of the boys here. You're being seen all over the world. Stable, unstable, unstable.
We can hear you now, Guru Maharaj.
Now you can hear. Well, this is going to be probably some sort of interesting back and forth attempt. Okay, let's try. So, again, welcome to everyone. Just going to say that it's kind of interesting how this Zoom medium is being used. Days ago, one very nice devotee in New York, Krishna Kshetra Swami, had his doctoral dissertation defense on Zoom. And it was all recorded. He sent me the recording, very interesting to see. He passed his examination, so he's now Dr. Krishna Kshetra from what is it called? Union Theological Seminary in New York, famous school. And he did his dissertation on eco-theology, with a focus on Govardhan Eco-Village. Yes. Anyway, so we were going to sing a song, weren't we? Let's see now, where is this? We have a song. Here it is. Okay. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura wrote, to my knowledge, 3 Arati songs. One morning Arati, one noon Arati, and one evening Arati. Maybe he wrote more. So this is his noon Arati song. So for some of you, it is noontime. And it's a description of Krishna and Balaram having lunch at the house of Nanda-Maharaj, describing all the wonderful preparations that they have done, singing. Well, we'll see, 1 line or 2 lines at a time. There's a kind of refrain. That's the first. It's numbered as number 1. Bhaja bhakata-vatsala śrī-gaurahari. Bhaja bhakata-vatsala śrī-gaurahari. Śrī-gaurahari sohi govinda. Śrī-gaurahari sohi govinda. Nanda-jaśomatī-citta-hari. Nanda-jaśomatī-citta-hari. Bhaja bhakata, Bhaja govinda, govinda, gopāla. Bhaja govinda, govinda, gopāla. Belā, dāmodara, āisa, ekhano, bhoga-mandire, ha-bihārī. Belā, dāmodara, āisa ekhano bhoga-mandire bhoga. Nanderani deshe boise giri-bara-dhārī baladeva-saha shaka boise śrī-gaurahari. Nanderani deshe boise giri-bara-dhārī baladeva-saha shaka boise śrī-gaurahari. śuktā-śākādi vajinalita kushmanda kalinalna dugdha-tumbī dati mocā-khan. śuktā-śākādi vajinalita kushmanda kalinalna dugdha-tumbī dati mocā-khan. mudga-borā Arotik Kirtana Shashkuli Pishtakya Kuli Bhaja mudga-borā Arotik Kirtana Shashkuli Pishtakya Kuli Bhaja Karpura Amrita ta-keli khīra-sāra Amrita rasala nanda-jaśomatī-citta-hari. Karpura amrita ta-keli Amrita rasala nanda-jaśomatī-citta-hari. bhakata-vatsala śrī-gaurahari. Bhaja bhakata-vatsala śrī-gaurahari. Luchi chini sarpuri laddu rasabali bhojana korena Krishna hoye kutuhari. Luchi chini sarpuri laddu rasabali bhojana korena Krishna hoye kutuhari. Radhika pakka anna vividha vyanjana parama ananda Krishna korena bhojana. Vividha vyanjana parama ananda Krishna korena bhojana. Shrimadu mangala baladeva-saha Arati. Chale bale laddu kai Shrimadu mangala baladeva-saha Arati. Radhikali gane heri. Shaveruka prakalo jananti Shaveruka oye savesa Ashtamuka prakaliya Jata-shaka. Are we back now? I think we're back. Jambula rasala anet ambula masala ahate Krishna chanda sukeni. Jambula rasala anet ambula masala ahate Krishna chanda sukeni brage. Vishalaka shikti pucha chamara dulai. Apurva Sayai Krishna Sukhe Nidrajai. Vishalaka Shikhi Pucha Chamara Dulai. Apurva Sayai Krishna Sukhe Nidrajai. Jaśomatī Krishna Prasada. bhakata-vatsala, śrī-gaurahari, śrī-gaurahari, sohi, bhakata-vatsala, nanda-jaśomatī-citta-hari. Okay, so, oops. Yeah, just very quickly going through the translation. Bhaktivinoda Thakura sings, just worship śrī-gaurahari, who is always affectionate toward his devotees. He is the same Supreme Godhead Krishna, who sported in the cowherd pastures of Bhaja and stole the hearts of Nanda and Yashoda. Just worship Govinda, Govinda, Gopāla. Mother Yashoda calls to Krishna, my dear Dāmodara, it is very late. Please come right now, sit down in the dining hall, and take your lunch. On the direction of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna, the holder of Govardhan Hill, sits down, and then all the cowherd boys along this is an in and out day. All the other cowherd boys, along with Krishna's elder brother, Sri Baladeva, sit down and rose to take their lunch. They are then served a feast of śuktā and various kinds of green leafy vegetables, then nice fried things and a salad made of the green leaves of the jute plant. They also serve pumpkin, baskets of fruit, small square cakes made of lentils and cooked down milk, then thick yogurt, squash cooked in milk, and vegetable preparations made from the tower of the banana tree. I guess that means the stalk. Then they receive fried squares of mung dal patties and urd dal patties, chapatis, and rice with ghee. Next, sweets made with milk, sugar, and sesame, rice flour cakes, thick cooked down milk cakes floating in milk, and sweet rice. There's also sweet rice that tastes just like nectar due to its being mixed with camphor. There are bananas and cheese, which is nectarian and delicious. They're also served 12 kinds of sour preparations made with tamarind, lime, lemons, oranges, and pomegranates. There are buns, I guess, made with white flour and sugar, buns filled with cream, ladus, and dal patties boiled in sugared rice. Krishna eagerly eats all of the food in great ecstasy and joy. Krishna eats the rice, curry, vegetables, sweets, and pastries cooked by Srimati Radharani. Krishna's funny Brahmin friend Madhu Mangal, who is very fond of laddu, gets them by hook or by crook. Eating the laddus, he shouts, Haribol, Haribol, and makes a funny sound by slapping his sides under his armpits with his hands. Beholding Radharani and her gopi friends out of the corners of his eyes, Krishna eats at the house of Mother Yashoda with great satisfaction. After lunch, Krishna drinks rose-scented water. Then all the boys standing in line wash their mouths. After all the cowherd boys wash their hands and mouths in great bliss, they take rest with Lord Balaram. The two cowherd boys, Jambula and Rasala, then bring Krishna pan, made with betel nuts, fancy spices, and katachu. After eating that pan, Sri Krishna Chandra then happily goes to sleep. While Krishna happily takes his rest on an excellent bedstead, his servant Vishalaksha cools him with a fan of peacock feathers. At Mother Yashoda's request, the gopi Dhanishta brings remnants of food left on Krishna's plate to Srimati Radharani, who eats them with great delight. Lalita Devi and the other gopis then receive the remnants, and within their hearts, they sing the glories of Radharani and Krishna with great joy. Thakura Bhaktivinoda, whose one and only joy is the pastimes of Lord Hari, sings this Bhoga-Arati song. So this is a nice meditation on Krishna's lunch pastime. So it's something you can sing, you can remember when you're having lunch, before you're having lunch, as you're actually, we used to sing it while making the midday offering to the deities. That was the system. This song would be sung. Okay. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. All right. And it's time for the Saturday Sangha show and tell.
Okay, Guru Maharaj, so we have 7 devotees who will share in following order. Anandamayi Mataji, then Dira Lalita Mataji, then Kavichandra Prabhu, Malatimala Mataji, Divyambara Mataji, Hiranya Pandit Prabhu, and Nandimukhi Mataji.
Okay. I think I'll give you a more interesting background by turning my chair around and see the green.
Anandamayi Mataji, you're unmuted.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Nice. As Guru Maharaj mentioned me that I am writing something on an internet, so immediately I just was inspired to say something about this. I don't know if there is the connection.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Just a second, Anandamayi Mataji.
Okay.
Because Guru Maharaj connections might be lost again.
He turned.
Hare Krishna, I think we're connected again.
Yes, we can hear you,
So,
Maharaj.
you can go ahead, Anandamayi.
Yes, thank you. As I said, when you mentioned me about this writing on an internet, I was inspired to say something about this. So my beginning with writing was on the VHU when I was studying at Vrindavan, Bhakti Vaibhava course, and they were teaching us how to write back to Godhead magazine. So that was the beginning, and there was the time when I was separated from the temples, from devotees and friends. That was some topic not for today. And so in this isolation, I was thinking what to do next. And I heard from someone that when God is closing the door, he is opening the window. So I was thinking, okay, there's the idea to write something on an internet. So I started on Facebook. You know, we have some aversion for the social media, but I decided, okay, we will see how it works. And I was some kind of provoking some topics like think about it. I was writing some reflections, philosophy as dharma. I was trying to make them think about God, about, you know, just stop and think about God, you know, something like that. So the response was, you know, at the beginning not so nice, but later there was more and more interest, and then you know, I got hundreds of friends, like there is on Facebook, you know, thousands of them. Many devotees, just new persons, wrote to me, also from Gaudiya Math, some sannyasis even. So that was inspiring. So in 2017, I decided to write a book. And then I opened 3 pages on an internet. I made this like first for general public, then for devotees on Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojana levels. And whatever I was writing, preparing for my book, some shastras like Yoga Sutras, you know, Brahma Samhita, Vedanta Sutras, many books. What I was reading, I was writing also some articles for these pages. And whatever I was writing and sending for my pages, I also sent for Facebook. So there was some, you know, some interest was there also. But when I started to write about meditation on Bhagavad Gita, on Facebook, they stopped me and they said, oh, this is not for general public to say. I wrote something like Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you know. So they said, oh, okay, this is too much, you know, for public because the restrictions of European Union and, you know, like that. So they suggested, okay, come back maybe to some smaller group like ISKCON. So I said, okay, maybe there's the time to come back to ISKCON, you know, again. And a few months later, I started my personal page, which is Anandamayi Fourth Dimension, advanced with little better English and more deep topics. And I started also the blog, which is different kind of relation because it's more direct to the people, where I put some my films from my preparations for the book. I recorded some films on YouTube. So my point is that when I decided to write on internet, I was thinking that, okay, this is very big mess, you know, this internet. We know that they are interested in sense gratification and so many things are there, dirty things. But this is very big area for us to preach, to give them the Krishna consciousness, to expand this Krishna consciousness there. And therefore, although it was difficult at the beginning to push this, gradually when they saw some serious approach, they were opening themselves, you know, and took some knowledge from whatever the Shastra I was quoting, and so this is my some inspiration maybe for all of us to open for this this area of internet, because this is very it works actually. You know, when we are going there, then it works and it brings some results. So maybe we will be inspired to open our own, you know, pages or some. Everyone has his own way to present his you know, experiences in Krishna consciousness. So that's my little inspiration for all of you too.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Now especially with everyone locked down, and some are saying that, you know, this could be in varying degrees more long term. They say this is the new normal. So it could be more and more people are paying attention to what's on the internet, and that means we should be there. We should be a presence. Of course, yes, there are many devotees still already doing this, and yeah, it's nice. Everyone, we can each in our own ways, as you say, present our realizations of Krishna Bhakti. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. My you know, when I was writing these pages, because I have many pages on this internet, actually 5 they are together, I was thinking about this this to go to the people who are in different levels of consciousness, just to give them, you know, I was thinking about the koshas, and each of my page is like one kosha, and up to more deep topics, and you know, to catch, because I noticed that the people have some interest, you know, they want something more and more. So I was going deeper and deeper, you know. So we can find our way to find the people we want to respond to, we want to catch or something.
Yes, very good. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you.
Let it increase.
Yeah.
Okay. Haribo, Haribo.
Okay, so next is Dear Lalita Mataji.
Okay.
You're unmuted, Dear Lalita Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hare Krishna, pay my obeisances to Guru Maharaj and to everybody. Hare Krishna. Well, I was thinking like to do show and tell. So the show is behind here. If you can see on your screens, these are my deities. They're a bit more on the top. So, so I was thinking to, I mean, I'm happy we have this meeting, so my deities are not bored. Because usually, you know, I do my morning puja and then I leave them in the room. So it's good. I mean, for them, so they're not bored only with seeing my face. I'm a little bit nervous about this because I was thinking, why can't I write? And being constantly inspired by Guru Maharaj saying, well, we should all try and write on Srimad Bhagavatam. I do read, and I do remember about 30 years ago, I did write a diary every day. I did write some poems, but that somehow busyness in life took over, and I found myself somewhere in between being busy and in between a thought that I can't write. And the other day, some inspiration came through in a very funny way, and that's that, like, why do not words like me? Why do words, when I want to write them down, they're not there? So it's in some kind of funny way, some poem came out, and I'm going to read it to you. It's not too long. It's called Searching for the Words. I look for the words to tell about your beauty, but can't find any that are suitable. For some unknown reason, I think, the right words are hiding from me, maybe because your beauty is so sparkling, blinding, that all the words of this world got blinded and have run away from me. That sparkle of your beauty isn't only a sparkle, there is a word for it, I'm sure, but I don't know of it. Surrounded by universal words, but they still will not show themselves. The right ones are not queuing up. Searching for the words to tell about my amazement of your beauty in my heart. Only you know them, the right ones, the words, those wise, poetic, intelligent words, heartfelt and loving words that are somewhere inside. And they're waiting for that glorious moment to come out, strung in a melodious, perfect way. The way that describes and sings your glory, sings about your love, kindness, and beauty. The way that reveals my arousing emotion when you manifest in my heart. Sri Anantashesh glorifies you with his innumerable divine mouths endlessly. Words must be affectionate towards Anantashesh, or is there a difference between his words and him? What hope is there for me? By your mercy only, I know now, I will be able to find those hiding from me words to tell you about my feelings when you manifest in my heart. I keep searching for the words that match your warm, loving, caring personality, your divine, transcendental, magnanimous, endless mercy upon this dust-like person. I'm searching for more meaningful thank you words that my heart wants to voice it out to you. Searching for the right words.
Very nice. Very poetic. I think you got the right words to express how difficult it is to get the right words. Very good. Thank you. So that now this marks a time that again the words will start coming. Very good, thank you. And we see all your deities. Jagannath Subhadra Baladev Shri Śrī-gaurahari Nitai Ki Jai. And you have many Shalagram Shilas, Shalagram Narayana Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Jai. Okay, thank you. Hari. Bushi Yatra Ki Jai.
Okay, next is Kavichandra Prabhu.
Okay.
Hello.
Arati.
I think you can see it. Yes. This is my Gamala.
Yes.
My wife, myself, and altar. I don't know how you can see.
Yeah.
Shri Shri Lakshmi Hayagriva and Shri Śrī-gaurahari Nitai and many other divine personalities are there. And we also are waiting. Actually, we have on our window we have very, very teeny, almost 20 small tulasis. Started this year. I was reading that the topic for today is yoga of leadership. So I would like to say something about this, but especially about one thing. namely about conflict resolution. This is thing I was doing for few years already. Actually, some years ago, I approached Guru Maharaj and asked what we can do, because we have so much problems in our temple in Wrocław, and we have conflicts, we have some quarrels, and what to do. And Guru Maharaj told me that maybe you can take interest into non-violence communication. So I was looking at this, and I found a lady that is a trainer of NVC, non-violent communication, and we started even one group in Wrocław. We are meeting for many years now, and making preparation to be a kind of mediator. But I think to know how to resolve conflicts, it's a skill for leader, for every leader, because often leader has to resolve conflicts, and he wants to keep balance between parts that are coming, and usually people that are coming to him are asking to decide, and usually one part, we can make it very short, one part is saying yes, and the second part says no to some or any important option, something that is important for them. And the leader says yes or no, or is completely puzzled because he don't know what to do. So he's trying to help parties to make some resolution. So I would like to say two very short stories about this, about how problems can be resolved. And there is one famous story about two sisters. There was one situation, let's say Sunday afternoon, in basket with fruits. There was only one orange fruit. So almost the same time they came to this basket, and started conflict started, you know, and they started to argue. Okay, this time I will take the fruit. Why? No, because I'm older. Yes, you are older, but you are also, yesterday you ate the last fruit, the last orange fruit, and this is for me. Okay, so the conflict started, and they started to use even bad names. You witch, you always do like this. Why you are so dumb, and etc. But finally, the one of those ladies thought, okay, let's make Krakowski targ. It means Krakowian deal, or in English, 50-50. So they cut half the fruit, and what they did, the one lady ate the fruit and throw away peels, and the second lady throw away core of the fruit and took peels to make gingerbread. So if they knew what is the intent, what is the what is the purpose to make a fruit, then the solution would be obvious, right? And so what they did, they made actually how this is called? This is called when someone needs to compromise, then that is compromise. But the better solution would be to know what is the purpose, and then one lady can take the whole pills, and the second could take the whole inside part of the fruit, and that would be the best solution. And that is actually purpose of conflict resolution. We have also the second story we know from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Ashvatthama was catched by Arjuna. He was brought to Pandavas, and you remember the story when Draupadi saw Ashvatthama. She said, "Okay, don't kill him." And Bhima said, "No, you need to, you must kill him." And okay, so discussion started. And what Krishna told to them, what Krishna told to Arjuna actually. So Arjuna, you need to satisfy both parties. And you know, the situation is, you need to kill him or not. So what to do? And you know what Arjuna decided. So he found a completely different solution to satisfy both parties. So this is, from my point of view, this is skill of the leader to keep balance in proper way. And in non-violence communication, there are some tools, there are some keys to know what is the real purpose of every person, of every participant of the conflict. And those keys, or this key, is actually empathy, because if you have empathy, then you can go through emotions to the inside purpose of the person. And this is big skill. It's worth to learn it. So if you like, I can tell you much more about this. So if someone is interested, I can make a seminar for devotees about this, online seminar. So that was only a very, very short introduction. Non-violence communication actually comes from Gandhi, and was coined by war psychologist called Marshall Rosenberg. And we tend to think about ahimsa, that is actually non-violence, as a kind of weakness, because Bhagavad Gita is spoken in such a way that we think, okay, ahimsa, not always, but ahimsa is very, very important. In Mahabharata, ahimsa was treated as, I read that ahimsa paramo dharma is the highest dharma. And yesterday I was reading in Srimad Bhagavatam in 11th canto that Krishna says, Krishna is speaking with Uddhava. It's Uddhava Gita. So it's very similar to passage as it was in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says that, you know, between mountains I'm Himalayas, etc. And here Krishna says in Uddhava Gita that between vows, but between vratas, I am ahimsa. Vratanam ahimsanam. So the ahimsa rule is very important. Of course, it's mainly a rule for brahmanas, but brahmanas should sometimes help leaders to make to resolve conflicts, and that's also that's also something that we can learn. So if you are interested, just let me know. I can prepare it for later. And just now I will finish my presentation.
Sounds like sounds like an interesting topic. Yeah, maybe with help of Dharmagupta and Audarya Chandrika, you can coordinate something. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hari Bol. Vratswa Vyatra ki jai. Okay. Who's next?
Next is Mataji Malatimala Nadyanimai. So I will invite her to say a few words, maybe.
Okay.
Krishna to everyone.
Hari
I
Bol.
obey to all of you.
Golokadam ki jai.
Actually, I was thinking I didn't know I could speak anything. I was just writing and sending to Dharma Gupta and Avdarya Chandrika my text because I'm not a good speaker and my English is not so good. But anyway, maybe I can just say about this, what I was writing. Many times in our life, at least in my life, come many turbulences and all kinds of things that happen. And sometimes just in the mind come, oh Krishna, maybe you forgot me, or maybe just, yeah, you forgot me. And then in some way, Krishna give us sign that he don't forget us. And this is actually very nice and very inspiring. And I would like to share with you my my experience from day before yesterday. And yeah, please, Dharma Gupta, I really don't know what to say anymore. Thank you.
So you said day before yesterday something happened.
Yes, something which was for me very, very nice and very inspiring. And but I write to Dharma Gupta, he translated and he will read now what was actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so basically, Mataji is writing. There is brothers and sisters in Guru Maharaj. Please accept my obeisances. I had one realization would like to share with everyone. Like last 7 years, my husband and me, we are living in Golokadam in Germany. And few years ago, temple gave us a plot of land to plant some vegetables and for like a small kind of agriculture. So we planted all kinds of plants and some fruits, and that's how it works. But whoever lives in a temple knows that it's always something happening, and we always have to accommodate to some new circumstances. And in the last few months, especially last month, things are happening in very fast pace, just one after another. Unfortunately, I can't say that I'm self-realized person and that things doesn't disturb me. So among other things, we had to give up our garden because here on the farm they started their large construction works, and at least we try to save some of the plants, and so we put them in a pots and we put it on a terrace. But after a few days, we found out that that terrace will be teared down as well. So we have to move the plants from there either. So they gave us few plots, basically a few square meters of soil for temporary use, and they gave us to put our plants there. And after that, we found out that we should move ourselves completely, and we don't know where. So my mind starts spinning different like stories and this and that. What we're going to do now, and what's in front of us, what's ahead of us. And intelligence says, don't worry, everything is under Krishna's control, just accept it. And then is saying, no, I am too old, I cannot, and mind is saying, I'm too old, I have so many, my body cannot stand that much, and who knows what is ahead of us. So did Krishna forget about us? And so on. And intelligence is saying one thing, mind is saying something else, and so on. And it came Narasimha Chaturdashi. Temple is closed for everyone except for us who lives here. And it was decided that during the whole day there will be some program, and afternoon it will be an abhishek. Temple here doesn't have a Narasimha deity, and then they wanted to have an Prahlad Narasimha Deva abhishek. So they asked us if we'll be so kind to bring our deity. So we did. We brought the deity, and at the time of abhishek, I was so busy with cooking and for evening offering, and it was so hectic. So I just went for briefly to give a abhishek to Lord Narasimhadev and came back to my service. Once I finalized my service, the whole program was already finished, and Charinamrita was gone as well. So I hoped that my husband took at least a little bit of Charinamrita, but unfortunately he didn't manage. I was so tired and I had some pains in my body, so I was not inspired to investigate where is Charinamrita, is there any Charinamrita here and there, so on. So when I finished everything and entered my room, I just wanted some fresh air. So my husband and me just went out for a quick walk, took some, to breathe some fresh air before going to sleep. And after a few minutes, we are walking past the road, and one car passed, and in the car there was our devotees, Analakshita Mataji and her son Elia. So they waved us out from the car and just passed by. And after a few moments, we just hear the sound of car stopping, and car put in reverse and come back to us. And Elia came out of the car holding the bottle of half full of Charinamrita. So they offer us and say, drink, this is a Charinamrita from the Narasimha farm. We are just coming from there. Wow, I was so shocked. I was so thankful. For me, it was just like Lord gave us it gave us the sign. Have faith. I'm here. I didn't forget about you. So what was the probability that we just came in that particular moment, and they just passed by in that moment from the farm going home and seeing us? They just decided to go back and gave us the Charinamrita. Thank you, my dear Lord. Now I'm looking everything at all the situation more brighter, and I have some faith, I have some optimism, and I can feel that the Lord has everything under his control. Your servant, Malati.
Right. Very nice story. And the Charinamrita of Nrsingadev, there's this mantra, akala mrityu haranam sarva-vyadi vinashanam nrsinga paradakam pitva shirasa-darayam yaham. When you take Charinamrita, well, you can sort of fill in the blank, gora paradakam, nrsinga paradakam. But akala mrityu haranam, Charinamrita removes, it protects one from untimely death. Akala mrityu haranam sarva vyadi vinashanam. It destroys all illness. Nrsinga paradakam pitva, drinking this udaka, this water of the feet, literally. Shirasa-darayami aham. I carry this Charinamrita on my head. So, Nrsimha Chaturdasi, Abhishek, Prasadam, and Charnamita Kija. Thank you.
Thank you.
Golokadam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so next is Divyambara Mataji. Divyambara Mataji has some announcement as well, so she asked me to prepare the flyer which she has to share my screen on. So I'm inviting Mataji Divyambara to say a few words. So we'll share the screen in a few moments.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for encouraging me to share this, Guru Maharaj. I keep getting invited to all kinds of webinars these days, and I was just invited by the Center for Soft Power. It's a nonprofit organization based in New Delhi, in India, and they invited me 2 years ago to be a panelist in a conference there, but I couldn't go, and they came back to me and they invited me to this very excited conference next Saturday. I'll have to miss our Sanga because it's in the morning, but and I was shocked because they invited some very famous activists like Vandana Shiva and Maya Tiwari. She's also a very famous Ayurvedic person and author, and another doctor and an agriculturist. So yeah, everybody will have 10 minutes to speak, and I beg for your blessings to be able to represent you properly, Guru Maharaj. But
I'm sure you'll do fine. Yes, you've become a celebrity.
Yeah, not really, but I'm just trying to share whatever I've learned. So yeah, can you pull up this flyer, Dharmagupta?
Oh, there it is.
So it's about food and the relation of food to the earth. They send a couple of questions. I don't know exactly what they will ask me, but I will be there. Yeah. And I would really, so the organizer, the way I got in touch with these people, the organizer came to, one of the top people in the organization. He visited our restaurant, Diva's Kitchen, and he was very impressed and he wanted to speak with me. So we spoke for about half an hour, and he invited me to participate in their events. So he's just, I don't know why, maybe because we have an Ayurvedic restaurant and something like that. So we will, I hope this is just the beginning of a long-term relationship, and I really want to recommend you, Guru Maharaj, as a speaker as well, because I think they'll be very interested in this topic. So we'll see.
Cows. They have a very catchy title for your presentation, From Earth to Hearth. That's very nice. Nice title.
It would be nice to also have, I hope we'll have a nice personal connection with Vandana Shiva, because she would be another great contact for you and your work. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I told you, but I contacted her about writing a foreword for my book several months before the book was finished, and she wrote back very quickly and said, yes, I'll do it. Just send me the manuscript. So great, okay. But when I finished the manuscript. I sent it to her, said, so now we're ready, if you could kindly write it forward. I got no reply from her. I wrote her once, I wrote her twice, I wrote her a third time. I had to give up. She never wrote back. Well, maybe she was very busy at the time, maybe she was sick, I don't know. But I ended up getting Chris Chappell to write. He was very kind on quite short notice. He wrote a nice, kind of short, but a nice forward for them. Anyway, she's a very, very outspoken person, very prominent. I think it's also Krishna's arrangement that she didn't write the forward, because as I thought of it, she actually, we never hear her speaking about animals. She's all about, you know, seeds and so on, which is fine. You can't do everything, but yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
All the best. We'll be interested to hear how it goes.
Yes, thank you. I think it will be recorded. So the recording will be available.
Yes. Okay. So, New York Manhattan Yatra ki jai.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So next is Hiranya Pandit Prabhu, but I can't see him under that name here on the list of participants. So if he's here, maybe I just ask him to unmute himself.
Here I am.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna everyone. In a Finland Ram. So I was thinking to share something about my writing process to general public.
Maybe I should say, before you say that,
yeah,
to remind everyone that last week I mentioned you, that you have been writing novels for so many years. And then I asked if you were there, and later you told me you had no microphone. So, okay, now here you are with your audio and visual. So great.
I'm manifested now.
Yes.
So I joined 82 and I was writing already before that, since already in a young life. And so then at the time when I married in the late 90s, there was many devotees requesting me, knowing that I was into writing, if I could write something for general public, a sort of easy text which would more describe in practical way the life of devotees. After maybe people read our books, how it's applied in everyday life. So I was a little doubtful in the beginning, because writing a novel, it was my area, but in a traditional Vaishnava writing, I wasn't sure how to apply fiction to such a subject. So I then asked your opinion, Guru Maharaj, and you said that actually we have fiction writers. You told about Sanatana Goswami's bhagata-vatsala, which is also a novel, and that it's a nice way to approach general public. So the first novel, it was about modern day life in an ashram, so that people who read our books can a little dive into our life. And also normal ISKCON activities, book distribution, puja, and so on. And then I sort of thought that I make it comfortable for readers, so I created a kind of neutral main character with whom one could identify feeling depressed that somebody is trying to impose things on their own belief system. So I made some easy storyline, and then I published it, and then I was disappearing on a street like I used to do with Prabhupada's books. And it wasn't really idea that I do more than that, but sometimes you see when you make a snowball and it starts to roll down the hill, so it's difficult to stop. So it came another book, and I was dwelling in a subject of preaching in Soviet Union. I visit there sometimes teaching in 80s. And then also came book which was the plot was placed in India, and I was putting plot in Mayapur, Dwarka, holy places in India, and it was a kind of sort of adventure book with son searching his father who was lost as a professional in jungles. And then I wanted to explore some other genres also and how it goes. So I tried some science fiction, putting plot in future where people fly in space and find planets where everyone is Vaishnava beings and something like that. And also explore some historical novels. And so if it was a little distance from actual devotee life, usually my main characters were a kind of devotees in disguise. So I could also insert there some elements of philosophy, but in such a way that it didn't kind of stick out of the plot, which is kind of, if you have historical novel, people expect from you a certain reading experience, so it had to go along that. So usually it takes like writing process is described shortly. So usually it takes 1 or 2 years. I decide what I write next. So it's building up in my head, and if it requires some research, I do that. And so then when I'm ready to write, I kind of engaging just writing in flow. I usually don't stop too much and think of every sentence that I do. When it's ready, then I start to go through this manuscript and delete, add, polish, change, like that. And I might write novel in a linear way from beginning to end, or I might choose to start somewhere in the middle, go to beginning and then the end, fill up the gaps in the plot. So it depends on inspiration. So when that's ready and I've done my part, so then it goes to editor, who is sitting 2 meters from here. Manatane is my wife, who goes through the manuscript, makes suggestions for corrections, and then we go through again together and read aloud. And so it's kind of text is worked many times until it's published. And the main element in my work when I write to the general public is I always try to place myself in the position of a reader, how he will perceive the text, because otherwise there could be many things which is very clear for writer, but it's not guaranteed that reader will understand if we are absorbed too much on our own viewpoint. And so the reading is a hearing process. So when you write, you're actually speaking to a person when he reads your book. So he kind of takes your personality, because writer is present in his text. So you kind of dive inside the person who reads your text, and therefore there's kind of sort of responsibility that you make such a text which is uplifting inspires the reader to think about directly or indirectly. And it's very exciting thing I like to do. And there's always something plans in my head for stories. Sometimes they manifest, sometimes not. Usually something is going on in writing. So this what could I share in a condensed way.
Great, that's so nice. I'm always telling devotees about your creative entrepreneurship. But it's also a little frustrating for all of us who do not read Finnish language.
Yeah.
What to do. It's an interesting point you make that as an author you have a responsibility to your readers because they're entering into your world actually, and so it's a very nice point.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so how many novels you've written now?
I have published 10, and there's some of them. This is bhakata-vatsala, describing this India adventure. This is Govinda arrives to Moscow. Many times my wife Mama Tama is making the pictures in the books.
Oh yeah.
I started exploring new genre recently. It's progressing slowly but surely. Detective. I've never done that, but I'm always asking people what they're reading, and 80% answers that they like reading detectives.
Detective novels.
Detective novels, yes.
Who done it? That's the challenge. That's what makes them exciting. Finding out who did the crime. Right?
Yeah. I have also one book which is actually it's ready but not published. It's it was supposed to be some kind of sort of fantasy science fiction about extraterrestrials, but it ended up describing Vaikuntha and like that, pastimes there in spiritual world. So sometimes, yeah, one has to be open-minded that because we are not the doers in writing either, and sometimes Krishna maybe directs to write something which you didn't expect. So I can be ready for that.
So you do get that experience of feeling that Krishna is guiding you.
Yeah, that's there, and you know, sometimes when sometimes I read my own books just because if I'm selling it, so I have to know what is inside. So, and if I take some older books, I kind of forgot what I wrote, and then I kind of start to think, well, did I write that?
I had exactly that experience. In fact, just last night, somehow I started reading a few pages in the conclusion of my book, Attending Krishna's Image. And I felt like that, wow, did I write this? This is pretty amazing. But not only that, what I found was, here are some really good ideas which I can use in something else that I'm going to be writing. So, and it struck me that I could get a little taste of what Srila Prabhupada was saying. When Prabhupada would say, I don't write these books, Krishna writes them.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Helsinki Yatra ki jai.
Jai.
Haribo, haribo.
Hare Krishna, Nandimukhi Mataji, I invite you to...
Narahari.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Guru Maharaj. Yeah, I would like to share something that because of this lockdown thing, we are not doing our programs in Passau, and we were thinking, yeah, how and what we can do, but now we got some opportunity to do online preaching program. It's actually starting with my sister, Mineshi Gopika from Leicester. She was sending me some details this morning, and I thought I will share it with you all. That actually it started like this in Leicester by her, that she started to do Harinam for 5 years ago. She started like going every day for 3 hours on her own in Leicester City Center. And after this lockdown, she started to do 2 hours live Harinam, and also questions and answers on Instagram. So like people started to approach her from actually from Mercury Leicester, got her contact, and they also put on the newspaper, and I think also in Dandavats there is a article about her saying, meet a woman who's chanting Hare Krishna. And this preaching now is started, like 7,000 people are joining her. She's mentioning that like some also sing along with her, and yeah, she was mentioning that I can also be with her and do this online, and we were thinking, yeah, great, this is some nice opportunity for us to do this. So she just called it Hare Krishna on her internet, and yeah, so looking forward to do this with her, and just wanted to share this with you all. And she's sending her obeisances to you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, it's confirming the point I think Anandamayi was making. We can reach so many people online. So your sister is reaching 7,000 people. That's really amazing. Is that Narahari I see sitting down in the corner?
Yes, here I am. Today we have the other devotees are after festival. They are somewhere. We could not get all together outside. So we
sitting
just
in our room.
sitting here listening. Yeah.
Okay, that's very nice. Yeah, thank you for sending the photos of Nrsingadev also. I'm going to be showing some of the devotees here, those photos. We have a small, there are a few devotees here who are especially into puja. So I'm sure they're going to be inspired by this.
Very nice, thank you. Yeah,
it was a nice festival.
We missed you all very much. And Amara Prabhu, he's mentioning that when this lockdown is over, we will want to make a big celebration sometime in July, August here. Yes.
Okay, that's nice.
So then we hope that everyone can join us. And then, of course, there is the Brahmotsava, but we thought, because Brahmotsava, I think this year is coming also in August. It's a little earlier. So connecting or maybe making even before. This is not yet clear, but want to make a big celebration here. So,
okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Krishna.
Nachalandam ki jai. Yandals Branyatra ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, we've spent most of our time with sharing, and that's very good. That's as it should be. I can just get started, I guess, with what I had. And let's see if I can share this. I've put a few points onto my same PowerPoint. Again. Yeah. You'll remember this slide from last time that we talked about Krishna consciousness and politics, and I thought Tatvavit from Gdańsk in Poland raised questions, issues, and asked me to speak on, yeah, pretty much leadership and management, I guess. So I thought we start with leadership, which itself is a huge topic. But before we get there, this is maybe a bit of a transition, and apologies if this is too small to see. I'm not gonna do full screen just because I find it difficult for a couple of reasons, but I'll just put it here. We were talking about pravritti versus nivritti, engagement versus disengagement. And pravritti, we could say, is the sphere where politics, engagement in the world of power is there. And for good reason, we may feel disinclined to be engaged. But to sort of balance that, I thought we should remember what Srila Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Samrita Sindhu, Prapanchikataya Yasya, I forget the second line. Second part says, Mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam algu katyate. He's giving a definition of superficial vairagya. And Palgu, Prabhupada explains, there's a river which runs through Gaya. I've been there, and it's a river which is basically dry, but then you drill down in the riverbed and there is some water. So the idea is on the surface you don't see, but actually inside there is water. My point is we don't want to go to the extreme of Palgu Vairagya, of disengagement, which is actually false disengagement. And related to this, I came across this comment. It's a bit out of context, but Martha Nussbaum, I don't know, maybe she's retired by now. She was at University of Chicago. The life, she's especially writer of philosophy of ethics. The life that no longer trusts another human being and no longer forms ties to the political community is not a human life any longer. So she's tying two things together, trust and political community. And she's saying something quite strong. You don't have any more trust in other human beings or in the political community. That means you're not really fully human. And she's talking about this within a context of ancient Greek thought. And she's talking about some Greek drama, specifically tragic drama. She says, tragedy happens only when you're trying to live well. Because for a heedless person, a person who is not paying attention, who doesn't have deep commitments to others, Agamemnon's conflict, King Agamemnon, isn't a tragedy. Now, this is from a drama by Aeschylus, one of the ancient dramatists, where Agamemnon had to choose between saving his daughter and saving his army. Just not a happy choice. It's a tragedy, is her point. And if you don't think it's a tragedy, that means you're not serious. you're not seriously trying to live well. And you don't have a serious commitment to others. And she goes on to say, now, the lesson certainly is not to try to maximize conflict or to romanticize struggle and suffering, but it's rather that you should care about things in a way that makes it a possibility that tragedy will happen to you. She's saying, if you're seriously caring about something, there's going to be tragedy. If you hold, or there could be tragedy, if you hold your commitments lightly in such a way that you can always divest yourself, you can get rid of from yourself, from one or the other of them, if they conflict, then it doesn't hurt you when things go badly. But you want people to live their lives with a deep seriousness of commitment, not to adjust their desires to the way the world actually goes, but rather to try to wrest from the world, to pull away from the world the good life that they desire. And sometimes that does lead them into tragedy. Now, you could argue, well, that sounds all like kind of mode of passion, which is a possibility. But anyway, I'm just leaving that for contemplation. And here I'm just going to really put a few thoughts, sort of not much more than perhaps priming the pump, as we say, getting the pump started, getting thinking about the subject of leadership. And I thought of three sorts of questions we might have about leadership. One is, what is required for effective leadership in terms of attitude and skills in particular, and other aspects, important aspects. A second question we may ask ourselves, am I potentially a leader? Or can I learn to be a leader? Or am I already a leader and I could expand my capacity and refine and improve my capacity for leadership? And then a question that I suppose we could all say a lot about, what to do when I experience poor leadership in others? Probably we've all had experience of poor leadership, and we all can feel very strongly when someone else's leadership just doesn't seem to work. And then we ask ourselves what to do. So those are a few opening questions. And then further questions, if we look at leadership in our Vaishnava tradition, I thought the direction we might want to go in such thought process would be from the present to the past. In other words, from most recent times into the ancient. And I'll get to that in a minute. So on a positive side, in relation to all of these thoughts we may have about Vaishnava leadership, we can ask ourselves, what examples of leadership have we appreciated, and maybe most immediately, what we have experienced of good leadership. Someone we personally know who has been an inspiration in leadership. And of course, leadership can be on various levels and with respect to all sorts of things. I'm not just talking about temple presidents or whatever. Related to this is the question, what particular qualities or skills in leaders that we have admired, what are the qualities and skills that we have admired in them? What is it about their leadership that we admire? And on the other side, sort of counterpart question, when you felt that leadership has been lacking, what specific qualities and skills have been lacking in those that we expect or are in position of leadership but don't seem to be doing their job effectively? So looking from more immediate present times into the past, of course, we may want to begin with our own experience of persons, devotees we know, whether they're in an official position or not is it's not necessary that one is in some official position. And then certainly in so many ways, we may want to look at Srila Prabhupada. Devotees have done studies to see how it is that Srila Prabhupada has shown qualities of leadership. And have analyzed his many different episodes in his life, different exchanges devotees have had with him. He showed his leadership skills. I think I mentioned last time I've been reading about the whole Bombay Juhu temple affair, how Srila Prabhupada's incredible determination, not just determination, but his skill, his people skills, just everything he did was so intensely focused that the whole thing became a grand success in the end. And then we may look at previous acharyas, of course. When we sing Gurvashtakam, something I've been fortunate to participate every morning here. Every morning we have Mangal Arati here at 5 o'clock, and pretty much all the devotees are there. So we're singing Samsaradava Nalavida Loka Tranaya Karunya Ganaganatam Raptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guroshi Charanarvindam. How the spiritual master, or we can say the spiritual masters, are putting out the fire, the forest fire of material existence. So that is, that's leadership. Continuing back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the many details in his life described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the other biographies, sacred biographies, Chaitanya Bhagavata, about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's directing devotees, sometimes being quite intensely scolding devotees and rewarding devotees. He's appreciating, he's correcting, and he's giving very unequivocal instruction to devotees. He sends the 6 Goswamis to Vrindavan. They give their lives to him to live out in Vrindavan in very austere conditions, and so on. And then we could go to our earlier, our central Shastra, the Srimad Bhagavatam, with all of the Bhagavatas and their examples of leadership. The one that comes to mind at the moment, I find Jada-bharata interesting because he is, his leadership is, for most of his life, entirely in silence. He simply is tolerating the madness around him to the point that he gets drafted into the service of this Rahugana chieftain in such a way that he has to help carry his palanquin, but he's not going to simply fall in line with everyone else because he has a more personal, immediate, and we can say higher concern than the king, and that is the life of the small living entities on the ground in front of him. So he's carefully avoiding them, causing some disturbance, the carrying of the palanquin. And then this leads to a discussion with the king. Initially, the king is insulting him. Jada-bharata is not disturbed by the insults. Rather, he has very powerful words for the king, to the point where the king is so inspired that he takes shelter of Jada-bharata. He listens with great eagerness and with all respect to him. The Mahabharata and the Ramayana, we've mentioned before, are full of politics. And we can think about the sorts of leadership, good leadership and bad leadership in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana. In the Mahabharata, perhaps the classic example of bad leadership is Dhritarashtra, who of course is not only physically blind, but also spiritually blind. And his spiritual blindness propels, in many ways, the entire conflict, leading eventually to the war. And of course, we have the Pandavas, their leadership, which are different sorts of leadership. So if we contrast Yudhishthira with Bhima, for example, Arjuna with Yudhishthira, and so on, we will see interesting comparisons. And then the Ramayana, Lord Rama is celebrated as a kind of ideal king. And then in the background of his being absent king, of course, is Bharata, who has been positioned as the king by his mother, ta-keli, but taking, in a sense, being forced to take that position. What does he do? He takes the shoes of his brother Rama, and he takes them and enthrones those shoes and worships those shoes, while he rules not from the palace, but from his bhajan kutir, on the outside of town. Sounds like the brahmacharis are getting excited. Hare Krishna. Okay, now I'm gonna, as I said, we're just priming the pump. Okay, now I wanted to call your attention. I was happily surprised when some months ago I received an email from Sri Prahlad Prabhu, who is widely known throughout the ISKCON world as a Kirtaniya. He has spent a long time in Poland. He often joins with His Holiness Indradyumna Swami in his Polish tour since many years. All of these things are what he's known for amongst devotees, but he has a whole nother life. He has taken an advanced degree, a doctorate in, I don't know exactly what it's called, organizational development or something like that. It's something related to the business world. And he did his doctoral thesis on the study of happiness, as I remember. And he now has a position teaching at Burnell University, which is a private university focused on business education in London. So he's written a book called Leadership Lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. The reason he wrote to me is that just before publishing it, he was canvassing for some endorsements. So he sent me a sample of his book, about 100 pages of the book. And I was very amazed. I was surprised and amazed and impressed by how well done the book is. And so I wanted to share something of that with you. Again, very briefly, but the basic structure, well, there are two elements. One is he gives an entire translation of the Bhagavad Gita. It's his own translation. I don't know how much of a Sanskritist he is, but he has perhaps drawn from other translations, but it's his own work nonetheless. So he goes through the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, but he has also a conceptual structure, and that is what you see here, the central core idea being what he calls linked leadership model. I got this idea, the yoga of leadership, from this. And then he has this, these four outlying principles: having a higher purpose, having holistic systems. This is a vertical axis, and then a horizontal axis, self-leadership and servant leadership. So on the left is self, and then the other side is the other. And he elaborates on this basic structure. So just a little example. What's our time now? I lost track of our time. Can I move this down? Oh, we're almost out of time. Okay. Time flies. There are 19 chapters in the book, 18 chapters of the Gita, and the 19th is a summary, where he focuses on leadership. And the structure of each chapter is there's an overview, then there's translation of a few verses, some commentary or reflections, he calls it, on those few verses. Then he continues with the next few verses, again some reflections, and so on. And within his reflections, he makes references, and so there are footnotes. And what's interesting here is that the footnotes are, for the most part, references to modern empirical research supporting points that he makes in the references, in the reflections. And so just one example, he says, he's talking about humility in leaders as a good thing, a good quality. So he says, a study by Rego, Kuna, and Simpson found that humble leaders are perceived as better decision makers and more effective leaders. Their followers also feel safer to raise questions, concerns, or make suggestions. Simpson, in this case, I believe is A. Simpson, who is Sri Prahlad. So this is something of his own study. So he's giving the reference in brief here, and then you go to the bibliography and you get the full reference. That's how such books work. Well, I think I maybe will stop here. Or should I continue, because we spent, maybe I should go a little more, because we kind of wasted time with connecting and getting disconnected. So if anyone needs to go now, of course, if anyone needs to go anytime, you can go. But I'll just finish with this for now. He gives an analysis, because I spoke last time a little bit about Varna ashram in relation to politics. So another angle on this I thought is helpful. A linked leader, a yoga-fied, a leader who is connected, recognizes the natural dharma strengths of the people that he or she leads and supports them in becoming the best versions of themselves. And so then he gives a little chart here of Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. But what I found, one thing I found interesting is that he uses these other terms. Educator, a Brahmin is an educator, a Kshatriya, okay, is a warrior. A Vaishya is an entrepreneur. Some of you may not know this word. It means someone who does business in a quite adventuresome way, someone who initiates a business or maybe many businesses and thereby takes a lot of risk. And then Shudra is laborer. But then we come, okay, we have the qualities, the gunas, then primary virtue. The Brahmana has wisdom, the warrior courage, the entrepreneur is creative, and the laborer is loyal, shows loyalty. If you remember, we talked about six moral foundations of politics. So one of them is the principle of loyalty. And then what do each of these four contribute? Educators contribute knowledge, warriors contribute protection and order, entrepreneurs contribute prosperity, and laborers contribute skill and service. And then in terms of motivation, we get this idea of truth for the educator, the idea of justice in the warrior, the idea of profit in the Vaishya, and community in the laborer. Now, if you look at all of this, you'll see it's never black and white. And in fact, all of us at some time or another are very concerned about truth. We're all concerned about justice. We're all concerned in some way with material well-being or profit. And we're all concerned with community. And similarly, with different sorts of contribution. It's not that we are only one or the other, but one of these may predominate in our character. And the linked leader is one who's able to bring out the best with a sensitivity to these different qualities. Okay, then. Yeah, this is just pointing out we have a vertical axis of philosophical and practical concerns, and then the horizontal axis of self and other. The linked leader is holistic, is thinking about all of these aspects. If we go to the higher purpose side, then these three principles are important: an understanding of appreciation of divine grace, a sense of loving service, and being oriented toward one's stakeholders. As a leader, there are others in our circle. In the business world, they call them stakeholders. Then self-leadership, this moves to the left side of the picture. Self-leadership is first and foremost about being spiritually aware, as Krishna is teaching throughout the Gita, but starting in chapter 2 especially. Then being service-oriented, being just a good person, being virtuous, being authentic, which means being straightforward, and as we say in modern English, get real, being real, and then being mentally disciplined. There's a lot of writing, there's a huge amount of writing about leadership in the business world, and something that I started reading focuses very much on self-leadership. That step one in any leadership is to practice self-leadership. And this we learn in spiritual life. With ourselves, we become self-disciplined and so on. And then on the opposite side, going back here, we come here to servant leadership. So then we have the sense of equality and equal vision, the sense of understanding those we work with, their personality profiles, appreciating strengths, and being very conscious when we're working in a team of the composition of that team and making it effective. Again, some of this is sort of business language, but we can translate it, I think, into spiritual practice as well. Then on the bottom of this scheme, holistic systems, there we have concern for what is sustainable, developing a culture of, we can say a culture of working respectfully together, being ready for and initiating change. Actually, a difference between a leader and a manager is often to do with how they deal with change, and also innovation. And then being ready to strategize and to change strategy when something doesn't work. Yeah, I was going to fill out something. There's so much to be said on this subject. What is our purpose? This was Srila Prabhupada's sometimes first question to a person. What is your aim in life? So there are ways to clarify for ourselves what is our purpose. And when our own purpose is clear, then we may be able to self-lead, to lead ourselves. And from that position, we may be able to give leadership, guidance, inspiration to others. We may actually find that what we want to accomplish, we can accomplish with the help of others. yes, from one book which I've just found. The book is called Leadership Today, Practices for Personal and Professional Performance. And then the first article is called Leadership and Purpose. And here she, I believe, calls attention to these essentials: self-awareness, a sense of respect, a sense of morality, a sense of vision, and understanding. And then in her articles, she gives little stories about 5 different prominent leaders and how they have exemplified each one of these 5. Hare Krishna, that's pretty much what I wanted to do. And so I'll stop with that. And yeah, Hare Krishna. I'll say thank you all very much indeed. And Krishna willing, we will see you all next week. That's for some of you, or more than some of you.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, we would love to be next Saturday again with you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And
could we continue this topic? Because I really just zoomed through it.
Yes.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, and let's, I hope next time we can do more discussion, like your questions, if you have. Maybe if you go through some of the questions that I raised, the 2 questions maybe. What are qualities in leaders you've especially appreciated, and what is it that when it was absent, you felt there was very much a lack in one or another leader, without naming names? Okay.
okay.
Good. So, all the best to you. Keep well, keep safe, keep happy, chant and be happy.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Lord Premanande, Hari Hari Hari.
Krishna, Gurudev. Radhe.
Thank you
so much.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Jai.